Today we're going to talk about the cons about living in San Diego, and they're going to start right now. All right, everyone, thanks for coming back to my channel. My name is Bern McGovern. I'm a local real estate agent here in San Diego. And today we're going to talk about the cons of living in San Diego. There's tons of pros about living in San Diego, but not everyone always talks about the cons, so I thought it would be nice to put together a little bit bigger list. I got 11 things on here, and we're going to start right now. I tried to not just stick to the most obvious ones about San Diego, but number one on my list is the most obvious one, cost of living. It is not cheap to live in San Diego. Breaking news, I know. It's ranked the 12th most expensive place to live in the United States, just behind, the obvious ones, San Francisco, New York, DC, Seattle, LA. The 12th isn't too bad. I mean, it's not the most expensive, but it's not the cheapest one in the world either. If you're looking to move to San Diego, just make sure you know how much it costs. You can also check out a video here that I kind of explained about the cost of living in San Diego. That'll break it down a little bit more for you. Not going to talk about this forever just because it's just obvious. Next on my list is another slightly obvious one is traffic. Traffic here in San Diego, it's not great, but honestly, I think it's actually pretty tolerable. Everyone seems to talk about it. I think if you lived in San Diego for a very long time, traffic has gotten worse, but I came from Philadelphia and LA, and the traffic there in both cities are way worse than it is in San Diego. Traffic here is very predictable. There's traffic during rush hour times, but if you go on off hours in San Diego, the traffic is very, very tolerable. Unlike LA, when there's just traffic all day long, every day, 4 a.m., doesn't matter what time it is, there always seems to be traffic. So yes, it's a con, but I also think there's much worse places to live in the world other than San Diego as far as traffic goes. So just keep that in mind. Number 3 on my list is San Diego is prone to wildfire. So if you, depending on where you live, not so much closer to the beach, but if you're more inland or we have a lot of rolling hills here and a lot of brush, San Diego is very susceptible to wildfires depending on where you live. I live right off of a canyon here, so we are prone to wildfires here. I've never had one since we've been here, but there have been in North County up near Fallbrook area, had a pretty bad one not too long ago. So just something to keep in mind. Also, earthquakes are obviously a concern in California, all of California really. Apparently there are like 20 earthquakes a day in California. Most of them are small, you never feel them. But if it gets over like a 3 or 4 magnitude earthquake, you will feel it. Feels like a little bit of a shake, but I've never really had too much issues with earthquakes since I've lived in California, when it's been about 12 years now since, no. I've been in California for 15 years now. Jeez, time goes by quickly. Next on my list is one we've talked about before too. If you're a big professional sports fan, San Diego might not be best for you just because there's only one major sports team, and it's the San Diego Padres. They're usually not that great. Had the Chargers, they're gone. Haven't had a basketball team in a long time. No NHL team. We do have a minor league hockey team called the Gulls that are actually pretty fun to go to, and the tickets are cheap, which is one pro of not having a major league team, that the minor league teams are much cheaper tickets than a professional sports team. So, but if you're a big pro sports team, San Diego's probably not great for you. We do have San Diego State that's usually pretty good at basketball, football, so that's something you can always go check out as well. Next on our list is a big problem here in San Diego and most of California. Again, homelessness. San Diego is ranked the 4th in the nation in homeless people here in San Diego. It actually has gone down in the last 2 years, about 5%, but we still have about 8,000 homeless here in San Diego. It's an issue that hopefully is getting better. California in general has always had a pretty big issue with homelessness, and hopefully that problem begins to go down, but as of now, San Diego is number 4 as far as homelessness population. This one I run a community Facebook group here in San Diego, and I asked people what they didn't like about San Diego. This one I thought was kind of funny. The Nextdoor app, if you guys are familiar with that, it's basically kind of like a neighborhood, sort of like a neighborhood Facebook app. People post things about like what's going on, lost cats, dogs, but the negativity you see on the Nextdoor app gets overwhelming at times. And I can't even go on it just sometimes because I feel like it's just where people go to get on their soapbox and just complain. That's what it seems to be best for these days. So I thought that was kind of funny, so I just put that on there. Not exclusive to San Diego, but it's something to think about. Next on my list, and this kind of goes with the traffic thing, public transportation is not great here. We have a coaster that goes up and down the coast from downtown to Oceanside. It can go up to LA as well, but it's not heavily used just because it's not as convenient. You still need a car to get around almost anywhere in San Diego. The downtown area of San Diego is pretty walkable, but as far as public transportation to get down there, you probably have to drive most of the time. So they're also building a trolley from La Jolla to downtown, which will be helpful, but overall, if you're moving to San Diego, you're probably going to need a car, and probably two. Next on our list is the airports here in San Diego. We do have an international airport in San Diego, but we don't have tons of flights that go out of it, and they tend to be a little bit more expensive than other major airports in California. Like Los Angeles airport's usually cheaper, and they have a lot more choices for flights, especially if you want to go international, or even just the East Coast, there's a lot more flights. So it's a nice airport. It's actually only 2 terminals, so it's easy to get around, and I actually like going there compared to any, like LAX was a nightmare to kind of go to. And so it's a very manageable airport, just not a ton of choices, and can be a little bit more expensive sometimes too. So also, if you are big into seasons, which this might not be a con for everybody, this might actually be a pro, but if you love like fall or spring, winter, if you like winter, then San Diego is probably not going to be the best place for you. The air, there's a lot of pros and cons to it too, because it doesn't get super hot here, and when it does get hot, it's kind of a dry heat. There's not a ton of humidity. We don't really get any snow. You can drive to the snow 2 hours away. In the winters, the coldest it'll get, it'll probably be the high 40s, low 50s. In the summertime, the hottest it'll be like in the 90s. You don't really see 100 too often. If you go inland, you can hit 100. But if you're by the coast, you're probably going to be around 80s to 90s. In the dead of summer, and in the winter, you might be in the 50s or 60s at worst. So if you're into seasons, San Diego might not be for you, but if you want a nice temperate climate all year round, then San Diego would be for you. Another kind of weather-related issue is the water here in San Diego is not that warm. So even in the dead of summer, the warmest that you usually will get is about 70, which is pretty good. But in East Coast, it's usually like 74, 75. In Florida, the temperature is like in the 80s. So if you're used to the warm temperature of the water in those areas, then San Diego is definitely going to be colder, and you might want to invest in some kind of wetsuit, or I usually just put my feet in, my kids are on, they don't care what temperature the water is. It might take a little bit of time to get used to, because it can be a little jarring. Doesn't really bother me, but when I posted about this, people were all complaining about it, so just want to put it out there. And last but not least on my list is, I don't know why I put this one last, but I'm going to anyways. The streets here in San Diego can be slightly confusing when you first move here, especially in North County. Downtown, it is kind of a grid-like, so it's pretty easy to navigate. But if you're in other parts of San Diego, some roads just go in different directions. They curve around, and then they hit a fork, and then keeps going another way. And another thing, when I moved to North County, especially along the 56 freeway, which is where I live, almost all the streets begin with Carmel, like all the exits, Carmel Valley, Carmel Country, Carmel Creek, Carmel, and that was just very confusing for me when I moved here. I'm not sure why. Maybe I'm just a little bit slow, who knows. So that's my list of cons about living in San Diego. Overall, there's way more pros than there are cons, but there are cons to everywhere you live in the country. And San Diego has a few, as you can see from my list. So if this is your first time to my channel, please consider subscribing to my channel, as I post new videos every week. And I just want to thank everyone who reached out to me after my last video. I think I had 6 emails when I woke up after I posted one last week. So hopefully I was helpful. And for you, those of you I'm helping find a home, thank you for trusting me with your home purchase, as I really enjoy it. And hopefully I can help more of you guys as you make the move to San Diego. So thanks for watching, and if you want to find more information about living in San Diego, check out some of these videos I have right up here. Thanks for watching. Bye.